I was in the Navy, enlisted in '71, got out on a hardship discharge in '73, which is also honorable.
I was in the U.S. Navy, and I went in November of 1986, right after high school, and I served until November of 1990.
I served from October 2004 to July of 2009 in the Army, active duty Army.
I left home April of 1951, I can't remember the exact date, but I was sent in the Army. Went down to Fort Leonard Wood, Kentucky. 6 weeks of infantry. Then we had combat engineer training. I forget how many weeks it was, 6 or 8. Then I was sent over to Germany and put in the 40th Tank Battalion.
Derek was in the United States Army. He served from approximately 2002 through 2007, and he was a captain.
He served from 1966 to 1967 in the United States Navy.
I was in the Vietnam War, yes.
I was getting out just as Operation Desert Storm was really kicking up.
I did. I was in Iraq during OIF 06-08 for 16 months.
Yes, he served in both Afghanistan and Iraq.
War, Vietnam War.
I chose to enlist. I felt it was my duty, and I'd do it all over again.
I chose to enlist. I signed up at the end of my junior year of high school.
I chose to enlist.
I was drafted.
No, I was able to choose. I chose the Navy. A buddy of mine also was going to go in the Navy with me under the, what they called at that time, the buddy system. He did not pass his physical. I had the choice of dropping out because he didn't make it, and I chose to go ahead with it anyway.
My dad was U.S. Army, and most of his family was Army, and basically he told me he would kick my ass if I joined the Army or the Marines. He wanted me to join a unit that was going to use my brains and not my brawn, so it was going to be Air Force or Navy.
The Marine Corps didn't take me initially, and then the Army did, and I wasn't the best teenager. I needed to get out of town, start a new life, get some structure.
I was drafted in it.
They were proud of me.
We're a military family. Just about every male in my family has served, and most of the women were Army nurses. And my brother actually retired from the Navy as well.
They wanted me to leave earlier.
My dad was in a heck of a shape getting the farm work done, you know.
Like all families do, you're worried for them, and you know, you hope they will be okay. You worry for them.
Well, I just had to leave, and he was drafted, so he had no choice.
Anxious.
Nervous. Leaving home for the first time, going to be on my own, was scary.
I am not ready. That was pretty much the biggest one. I thought I was, and then I did a PT test before I left and failed it miserably.
Well, I had a girlfriend I was planning on getting married, and that changed that for a couple of years.
Some of the places I've seen, I would never have experienced that without being in the military. I saw several countries.
I spent my 18th birthday in boot camp, so that was a little spooky. No sleep was a lot of it. I actually was so bad with no sleep that I was misspelling my own name. And I stenciled that on my clothing, misspelled.
Not really. We lived outside sometimes for a while.
Oh, a bunch. I was airborne. We jumped into Australia for Talisman Sabre 2005. And one of the dudes in our unit, when he landed on the drop zone, he got kicked in the chest by a kangaroo. And then they had to bring medevac helicopters in, so like half of us couldn't jump and get our Australian jump wings.
I was a boiler technician when I first went in.
I was a Navy machinist on a nuclear submarine base in Connecticut.
I was a 13 Fox, so cool way is I blew stuff up, but my job was to call for and adjust indirect fire using rockets, missiles, cannons, mortars, helicopters, naval gunfire. So to protect the infantry in case they were to get overrun, I'd just blow up a lot of stuff.
Driving a tank.
He was military intelligence and infantry. He had various jobs throughout his service. At one point, he worked very closely with one of the generals that was in command on base. With military intelligence, he helped plan their missions, etc.
At that time, that was before it was early 70s. Obviously, we didn't have computers and that kind of stuff, so it was either writing or phone calls.
A lot of letters and a lot of phone calls, and during boot camp we had to wait for times to use the payphones, and you called collect and hoped to God somebody was home to answer.
When I was deployed, Skype, worst system ever. The internet wasn't very good during the time I deployed yet. It was broken up, and then we had a lot of fatalities. So anytime somebody dies, they shut off all phones and internets except for secret. So, but I got to the point where I didn't even want to talk to them anymore because they would ask the same questions. How are you doing? I'm like, well, I just did the same thing for the last like 9 months, and it's kind of boring at that point. Made the time go slower.
You wrote letters. I wrote maybe once a week at least, maybe twice a week.
Usually via email and phone call occasionally. He was oftentimes away from the base, so we didn't have an opportunity to communicate a lot, but when he was on base, then we were able to communicate with him.
I was on a carrier, and we ate really good. The first time I ever had frog legs was on a carrier. We had eggs of choice in the morning, and we ate real good.
A lot. I actually gained weight during boot camp. You would think you'd lose weight because you're running and being physically active, and I actually gained weight because every time I turned around we were eating, and it was good food.
MREs and then KBR made meals. We even got like seafood.
Probably steak.
Lobster. The mess hall was awesome.
Chili mac, which is ridiculous because it destroys your body.
Uniforms, we wore blues during work. We had either dress blues or the white uniform, which is a little more casual than the dress blues.
Women really didn't get a lot of choices for the Navy. We didn't have the lovely Cracker Jack uniform that you see for the guys, which they do now, but they didn't when I was in. Our dress uniforms look like airline stewardesses. And if I traveled in my uniform, people would actually ask me questions in the airport as to, which flight was going here. But our basic everyday uniform was dungarees, which was a pale blue shirt, a type of blue jeans with bell bottoms.
When I first got in, we wore BDUs, which is like more of the camo pattern, the traditional style. And then like, I don't know, a year or two into it, I started wearing ACUs, which are the ones you don't have to iron. They're like the light bluish green, stuff like that. I don't know what color it is.
Okay. You're just regular uniforms. If you got dressed up for an inspection, you wore your Class A's, otherwise you didn't.
We played cards, we watched TV, played music, watched go up on the flight deck and watch the planes take off and land.
Well, let's see. I was in Connecticut for the most part, so we did a lot of sightseeing, went to Rhode Island, went to the beach, weekends up in Canada. New England's really pretty and everything's really close.
We played a lot of spades and messed with each other a lot.
Once in a while we'd have a get-together and some kind of a program or whatever, you know, to entertain us.
Always pulling pranks, yes.
Not during training. In school we did quite a bit, but not on base. Well, no, let me take that back. We worked in a big machine shop. We did all sorts of goofy things like glue the supervisor's cup to the table with super glue, or put bluing in the phone so when they answered it they'd get a big blue ear.
Pranks. Yeah. Penny people doors, duct tape them to their beds.
I can't remember we ever did.
Yeah, I did, and we kept in touch for several years, and it kind of died off. There's still one that I'm keeping in touch with yet.
I did. I'm still in touch with quite a few of them. Actually, some right from my training. Facebook's a great way to keep in touch with people.
Being in the military is kind of like any other job. You like some people, you really don't like other people. I made a couple close friends, but when I left Iraq, we had so many people died that we agreed not to talk to each other for a long time. And then I found the other box on my Facebook, and there was all these messages. So at that point, I had shifted my career and everything and started getting a hold of them. So there's probably, well, there's one guy that I actually served with that I'm really good friends with. There's a couple other people that we ran simultaneous missions in Iraq with the same thing. We didn't realize it because they were from different units. And I met a lot of those when I was living outside DC. So I have many acquaintances but few friends.
Yes, I did, because when we got home, I forget how many years ago it was, a guy called me from Kentucky about having a reunion. We had a reunion once a year down there at Paducah.
We did receive awards for, we were in a war zone, and our planes had done some things that we were recognized for, so yes, we did.
I did. For various things, usually for shift work and for doing, like I said, I worked on a nuclear sub base, so some of the stuff we did I can't really talk about, just because it's kind of quiet, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I've got a couple ARCOMs, a couple Army Achievement Medals. I have a Purple Heart, Good Conduct Medal, probably a couple here and there, Presidential Unit Citations. And it was kind of cool because our unit, the 501st, was based out of Alaska. They were the original, but when they re-stood it up, the last unit that was like that.
I can't remember I got any awards.
Derek was a very high achiever. He received a lot of awards throughout. He joined the ROTC while he was at Western Illinois University. While he was there, he received the Colonel Leo Manning Scholarship. He also received a scholarship from the Army, and there are very few of those given. That was one of 14 people across the entire country who received those. He was Lieutenant of the Year when he was stationed in Hawaii. He was a Ranger, airborne, sniper. He also received a Bronze Star with Gold Leaf Cluster.
He received the Purple Heart, the Vietnamese Service Ribbon, the National Service Medal, and the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal.
Actually, I am a member of the Honor Guard as we speak.
I did. Besides being part of the American Legion, which I've been here for 3 years, I'm also a board member for a local organization called Salute the Troops, and we founded that here in Fond du Lac, and I'm one of the main board members for it.
Not initially. I actually started my own. I was going to school in Maryland, and I started the Hood College Veterans Organization. And then from there, I start businesses for veterans and nonprofits for veterans and do risk analysis for free. So pretty much, there wasn't a lot available when I got out. So I tried to create the opportunities and get with the people that wanted to create opportunities and take action.
I belong to American Legion. I belong to Veterans of Foreign Wars, those two.
I became a machinist and then powerhouse maintenance and mechanic after that.
I actually machined for quite a while, so I kept up with what I learned in the Navy, and currently I am a master assembler at Giddings & Lewis, so I'm using what the military taught me, and now I'm building the machines that I used to operate while I was in the military.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I did, like I said, I did nonprofit stuff I still do. I sit on the board for several nonprofits. I just enrolled in school to become a physician's assistant.
Went on the farm and helped my dad get the farm work done.
No, I never have heard of any, no.
No, we just keep in touch on Facebook. I have met up with a couple of people, but it's not been a formal reunion, just a casual one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. The last couple of years I didn't, though.
I wouldn't be in the Honor Guard now if I wasn't in service. I think it made me love my country more than what the average person would.
I never would have come to Wisconsin if it wasn't for that. I met my husband, and that's how we wound up here. We've since divorced, but this is how I came to Wisconsin. I got to get out of Texas because that's where I'm originally from. So Florida, California, Canada, Mexico, Connecticut, Virginia, Wisconsin, these are all places I got to go and see because I joined the military and left Texas.
They drastically changed it. They made me more aware of things. I had a son that was born while I was in Iraq, and that really made a huge difference on how I wanted to conduct myself and who I wanted to help and what my reasons for it were.
Well, I don't know what makes you. In some ways, I'm glad I did what I did, to preserve the country and get to see people over in the foreign country and a lot of kids.
Like everybody, I suppose.
Well, obviously, there's a big hole there, but you can be nothing but extremely proud of him. He achieved great things at a very young age. He was the Scout platoon leader. He was leading men who were actually in the service longer than he was and had more deployments than he did. He felt very honored to be in that position, and afterwards, after he died, a lot of those people actually said the same thing. They felt honored to serve under him, or with him. And it was, he never expected anything from his men that he didn't do or couldn't do himself. And that's the kind of a leader that he was.
Yeah, the first time I got blown up, it was December 20th, 2006, and it's a rainy season, so we had a whole bunch of trucks that were stuck, so most of our FOB was out trying to get the trucks unstuck. And we had a mortar round come in, and part of my job, not only to call for fire, was also to do crater analysis and then return fire. So as you see a crater, you can, by distance size, how deep it is, and I can tell pretty much how big the round was, and then I can tell the distance away. So we went out to do crater analysis, and it was a trap, and I got blown up pretty good. A couple guys died that day. We were medevaced out of there, but it was pretty gnarly. It was surreal. You go on trips every day, and you always tell each other, don't get complacent, don't get complacent. And you make decisions that there's no right answer, but there has to be a right answer. You have to do something about it, but that could cost lives too. So it was humbling. A lot of good friends got injured that day, but a lot of them that are alive, that are injured, they've done amazing things. They don't consider themselves disabled. You know, we're warriors. The only thing we knew how to do is survive, whether it's civilian, whether it's military. Survival is on any plane. So if we put our minds to do something, any veteran that I know, they're going to accomplish it with the right tools.
I think for kids coming out of high school that really don't know what they want to do with their life, the military is the perfect option. They feed you, they clothe you, they train you. They give you enough rope to hang yourself if you're going to be stupid enough to do it. But they will give you a career for the rest of your life if you take advantage of it. Not to mention your schooling, because you can do the GI Bill and get your school paid for, or you can go to school first and then go in and get your schooling paid for. Some people make a career out of it, but when you come out of it, you're a whole different person than you were when you went in. It gives you a great chance to grow up and learn something about yourself.
You go through a lot of stages. It took a long time to be able to find a new normal. A lot of years before I would listen to music. We have become in-laws since his death and grandparents, and those are amazingly wonderful events and milestones. But there's also a big hole there. When you're looking at wedding pictures and the family pictures are there, you see, both families on both sides, and there's obviously a chunk missing.
He was very outgoing, very lovable, very affectionate son, and I loved him dearly. And I often think when he was small, if he had the least little hurt, he'd come running in and he'd say, "Mama, Mama," and it would be all better. And I couldn't kiss it this last time when he really needed it. He died instantly. He was ambushed from the side. They were mine sweeping, and he was on a mine sweeper. They were sweeping for mines, and they were ambushed from the side in Saigon.
I think people need to sit back and look and observe their surroundings a little bit more and feel the love for their country more.